Turning now to Washington and the first indictment against the child of a sitting president. Hunter Biden indicted on gun charges yesterday. 2 counts allege Biden completed a form claiming he wasn't using illegal drugs when he bought a gun back in 2018. 1 count claims Biden possessed a gun while using a narcotic. And this comes after a long-running investigation and the collapse of a plea deal that would have averted a criminal trial. Let's bring in Arthur Aidala, criminal defense attorney for legal analysis. Arthur, when we have you on, we know something seismic has happened. Let's start with this. Do prosecutors have a solid case here in your eyes?
I mean, they do, mainly because of Hunter Biden's own words and his own writings. You know, he wrote a book about his addiction to crack cocaine. He's given so many interviews about his addiction to crack cocaine during the same exact period that he filled out these forms and was questioned by the person who sold him the gun, supposedly legally, and then his possession thereafter. So there's three charges: the writing on the form saying I'm not using illegal drugs when I'm buying this gun, speaking to the gun salesman, telling him, no, I'm fine. I'm not addicted to drugs. I'm not taking illegal drugs. And then the actual possession. The possession was for a relatively short amount of time. But, these are real charges. However, Marky, many people can be charged with this crime because, even though cannabis, marijuana is legal in certain states, it's still a federal crime. So anyone who's like smoking pot and then going to buy the gun could be found guilty of this as well. So it's not the crime of the century, but anytime you're in federal court as a defendant, it's not a good time.
And anybody could have been charged with this, and it would be done and over within a week. This took years. What, 5 years? The other thing I found interesting, Hunter Biden's attorneys argue he didn't violate the law. One, you're going to have to explain that to me, and also that he remains protected by an immunity provision that was part of the plea deal. But we just watched that blow up 7 weeks ago when a judge rejected it. So how does that not render that argument nugatory?
So there's going to be a lot of very high-end legal maneuvering here, like not typical, not common legal maneuvering. And one of them has to do with the fact that when they went to court in July to say they had a plea deal, there was documentation that was signed that gave him immunity from certain charges. And that deal is between the prosecutor and the defense attorney. A judge does not have to be involved with that. What happened was the judge said, yeah, I'm not going to accept this plea deal, or he just really questioned the plea deal and it went off the rails. And what the criminal defense attorney is saying, hey, I have this piece of paper. You, Mr. Prosecutor, gave us immunity from certain crimes. You can't now go back and charge us with us just because the judge wasn't happy.
So even though the judge lit that piece of paper on fire, he's still...
The judge doesn't have the power to light that piece of paper on fire because it's a deal. It's like a house closing between the buyer and the seller. If you take it into the county clerk's office, the county clerk can't rip it up. It's either the buyer who has to sell it or the buyer who has to rip it up or the seller who has to rip it up. It's the same thing here with the prosecutor and the defense attorney. I think the real question that many Americans may have is, what about all the other charges we've been hearing about?
Yes.
What about all the money laundering? What about the not payment of taxes? What about deals with the Ukraine? I think that's what Americans are saying, like, where's the beef? We've heard about all this other stuff. This gun charge is relatively minor compared to all of that. Now, there are statements out there saying that the special prosecutor can go after him for these tax charges and may in fact do so in the future. But you made the point earlier on, like 5 years, like,
why did it take this long?
We're going to meet the road here.
Yeah, we'll see how this all plays out. That special counsel, to your point, has hinted that there could be tax charges filed at some point in Washington, maybe California, where Hunter Biden lives. We're going to continue to follow this. It's I don't remember a week that we've had like this on both sides of the aisle, politically and legally. It's been a big week, Arthur.
I'll just say this, as a lawyer,
yeah,
the justice system, the criminal justice system, is not supposed to be used as a tool to affect elections, any elections. I don't care if it's a school board election, a city council election, or here, obviously, the president of the United States. And both sides here are getting serious interference from the Department of Justice. And our United States Constitution, I believe, over the next months, if not year and a half, is going to be well, let's say year, is going to be very, very tried and questioned, and
we're about to be
really
busy.
going to put it to the test.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.